Listen, bro, I need to share something with you. First of all, I'll admit I was wrong. I should have educated myself financially before investing in the markets, but I started making a progress. I finally started learning about financial market, and boy, oh boy, I can't wait to implement my knowledge in the markets now. Finally, man, good job. Okay, tell me, so what did you start with? Did you read all the books that I gave you? Or were you just exploring Investopedia? What was it? Man, I watched The Big Short, The Wolf of Wall Street. I watched Great Gatsby, and what else was it? Let me just... But The Great Gatsby isn't even a financial movie. I mean, okay, alright, no worries. All right, at least you started somewhere, you're making a progress, that's fine. Alright, so tell me, what did you learn? Bro, listen. So, I've learned that if you want to succeed in the market, you have to risk it and you have to go all in. Oh my god, and okay, and what did you do? Well, I put a $20 in a shitcoin and I'm waiting for it to explode. Yeah. You're correct. That's how you should do it. Yeah, you're right. Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Dan, and in today's video, as always, I'm bringing you the best analysis of the current market, both crypto and stock market, so stay tuned. There's a lot of interesting happenings in the market at the moment. We're literally going through 2008, 2009 again. There's a lot of news that I'm going to be covering, but as always, I'm going to start with technical analysis for Nasdaq 100. Now, Nasdaq 100 weekly chart. As you can see, we are still in this supply zone over here where we have these 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth week, right? So 5 weeks in a row that we cannot break this area over here between the 12,700 and 13,000, okay? So what does that tell us? That tells us that we're in a strong resistance area over here, and probably there's a lot of stops, a lot of orders in this area, and what we need to do in order to continue with the bullish momentum is to break throughout this area, destroy these stop losses over here, and just continue the momentum to the upside towards 13,000 and then of course 13,500, which is going to be our ultimate target at the moment. All these movements, as I've told you in the previous video, are driven by fundamentals and macroeconomic environment. Technicals do not play a very big role at the moment, but of course for intraday trading they do help us, they do guide us, and it's a map to tell us where is what, so we can actually seek the best entries for our positions. Okay, so at the moment, as I've said, we started out with a smaller pullback from this area, but as you can see, the market is just opening soon. We're already going back higher. So what I would want to see from Nasdaq to do right now is just to break this area, retest it a bit, maybe range over here, to get these stop losses out and to clear out this area basically over here, because this area over here is full of orders, long, short, stops, etc. So we need to clear out this area over here first, and then we're gonna make our next move. If the macro environment news are good, we're going to retest the 13,000 as I've said, and then 13,500. But if the macro environment is bad, that means only that we're going to go back to 12,250, only to potentially retest that famous EMA 200 on a weekly chart, which is now sitting currently at around 11,580. Okay, so as we can see on the chart, there is still this hidden bearish divergence on the chart, which I hope it will be invalidated. And it will be invalidated, as I've said, if we manage to break this 13,500 area. In that case, this hidden bearish divergence on a weekly chart will be no more, and it will be totally invalid. Now let's zoom in a little bit further to see what's happening on a daily chart, to see if there's any quick moves. On a daily chart, nothing much. There's a slight bearish divergence on MACD. RSI is not giving us the same basically, so I wouldn't take it as a big signal, but this area over here is, as I've said, a strong resistance area, so you could have taken a little bit of scalping and tried to get like 100 points or so. Now, as you can see, these wicks on a daily chart are actually holding quite strong in this area of 12,500, so we're not dropping down, but the indicators aren't telling us anything. Now let's move into 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart, same. You see these big wicks, meaning that the buying pressure is strong. The buyers don't let us actually go slide lower, so that is a good thing. As for the indicators, nothing is happening. And on 1-hour chart, we have this hidden bullish divergence, which is actually right over here, which is kind of playing out in this area. because you would want to buy right over here in this area over here. So if you would to follow the 1 hour chart indicators, that means that you will be taking long positions off of these wicks and off of the EMA 50, and you would be aiming for your target to be at around 13,000 or so. So that will be a quick overview for Nasdaq 100. Now, as I've told you, we are purely driven by macro environment now. Fed is making their interest rate decision on Wednesday, which is 22nd of March. And until then, I expect us to either go in range or possibly go into this supply area over here, just as I've told you, to retest it, to clear it out, to get some stop losses out of the way. And if the news are good, boom, just to explode to the upside. Target for Nasdaq, if the news are good, is going to be definitely 13,500 or 600, and if the news are bad, definitely it's going to be 11,580 or the EMA 200. If we decide to go a little bit lower and range to the downside, the first stop is going to be at around 12,300, and then of course this area of 12,255, but just to go back and retest this area of 12,700. Now let's move on to Bitcoin and see what's happening on Bitcoin weekly chart. And Bitcoin is looking quite strong, as you can see. Look at this huge green candle, same as on Nasdaq, because last week, as you know already, as I've mentioned in the last video, and that I will repeat again, macro environment took over, bumped us to the upside. Fed pumped some liquidity into the markets to save the banks, but I'm going to talk about it later. However, as you can see, the Bitcoin is looking really strong, and there's literally nothing to stop us now from 28k to 32,000. Now our next target definitely will be 32,000, and then again, same as on Nasdaq, I would like to see Bitcoin in the near future to invalidate this hidden bearish divergence that is on weekly chart. And I would really like to see Bitcoin take over 48k, let's say somewhere by the end of the year. But of course, we may never know. It might happen in a week or two, or maybe not even until next year. Anyhow, first point of support is going to be this area of 25,380, and then followed by the EMA 200 on a weekly chart, which is going to be at 23,856. But at the moment, we're looking quite strong, and if we pull back, I'm expecting a pullback to be only somewhere to about this area of 25,000, just to continue to the upside, claim the 32,000, and then of course in the near future continue all the way to $48,000. Let's zoom in on a daily chart to see if there's anything happening on the daily chart. Well, on a daily chart there was this big bearish divergence that actually played out, but at the moment there is nothing happening on Bitcoin daily chart. Let's zoom in even further on 4 hours. 4 hours, we actually do see that we have this bearish divergence right over here. It's not actually playing out yet, but if it were to play out, it would be somewhere over here in this area. So if you want to short Bitcoin, be very careful. You can do it from this area over here, why not? But I would suggest you to be very careful until Wednesday, because on Wednesday, as I've said, no technicals would matter if the Fed bring out some positive decision. But until Wednesday, you can try and short it, maybe to come back all the way to 27,000. Let's see how that will work out. Now let's zoom in even further, which is going to be 1 hour chart. On 1 hour chart, the situation is basically more or less the same. We do have this bearish divergence on MACD. RSI doesn't really give us this big bearish divergence as MACD, so I wouldn't take it as a very strong signal. And that will be all for Bitcoin as well. So to sum it up and recap, Bitcoin looks really strong. If we pull back, we're going to pull back only until 25,000 area, just to continue to 32 and then onwards to the 48,000 area. That is a bullish scenario. Bearish scenario, of course, is as always a typical false break, coming all the way down and revisiting probably new lows. Because if the decision is bad on Wednesday, most probably everything will plummet, including cryptocurrencies. However, cryptocurrencies should be actually a hedge for all of these things that are happening, and people should be buying cryptocurrencies. All right, will that happen? We'll see. There's a lot of different interesting projections when it comes to Bitcoin. I'm gonna talk about it later again. That will be all for this technical session. It's a very short one because technicals don't really matter at the moment. As I've told you, I want to move on something way more interesting, which is going to be this week reports. And of course, the most important report is going to happen on Wednesday, 22nd of March, which is going to be this Fed interest rate decision. Okay, we are currently sitting at 4.75% rate hikes. Everybody is expecting 25 BPS or 25 basis points to be increased, and that we're going to end up at 5%. Will that happen? We don't know. Every options are now included. The only option that me personally I think will not happen is 50 basis points increase, because I don't really think they have the balls to do it at the moment. Like, it was already priced in. They should have done it on this meeting, and they should have said that they're increasing by 50 basis points. But with banks collapsing and this economic environment happening at the moment, I'm 99% sure we're not going to see 50. So it's either going to be 25. If it happens to be 0, if they say that they're pausing it due to big economic crisis or something, man, markets will explode. We're literally gonna start slowly maybe transitioning into a bull market. And when I say that, don't be too quick to react. Like, it's not confirmed bull market, right? But the thing is, if they're not gonna keep increasing the rate hikes, that means that they're slowly going to transition into quantitative easing, right? And that means that the bear market will come to an end sooner than we thought. We were projecting somewhere around Q1 2024, but this might happen this year, by the end of the year, because all of this will have consequences, and probably there will be some more collapses, and some more companies will fall down, and some more of the big companies will continue to fall down and plummet, and probably we will not be continuing only to the upside. We will have a period of the downside, and maybe we're gonna decrease and revisit some of the previous lows. I wandered off too much. Okay, so let's get back on the track. So Wednesday we have the interest rate decision, the most important thing, and then Thursday, typical initial jobless claims, pay attention to that. On Friday there is FOMC member Bullard speaks, core durable orders, and durable goods order. Okay, and that will be all for this week. Basically the emphasis is on Wednesday. Now let's move on to news. Okay, this is the interesting part, guys. So many things happen. First of all, Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, as you already know. Then Fed together with the Treasury, they intervened. They pumped liquidity into the markets. They guaranteed that all the depositors will get their money. The bank itself collapsed, but all the depositors got bailed out by the Fed and by the Treasury. Okay, now what's happening? The giants started falling. Credit Suisse, one of the most famous and reputable firms in the industry, is actually on the brink of collapse. And it says here, Credit Suisse collapses into the arms of local rival UBS in a $3 billion deal that rattles bondholders by wiping out $17 billion in junior debt. Basically what's happened is UBS bought Credit Suisse for $3 billion, as they say, in a hasty deal brokered by Swiss authorities. Credit Suisse suffered catastrophic loss of deposits last week and is by far the largest bank to fail in the last decade. Guys, okay, let me just be clear. All of these things, they sound interesting, exciting. This is real life. You have to understand that whenever these banks fail, especially the big ones, this is not exciting, this is not entertaining, this is not fun at all. Real people lost millions and billions of their own personal money, funds, investments, just because of recklessness of these financial institutions. Okay, so at the end of the day, always regular people got hurt in the process of greediness of these big institutions. So never be happy about the failings of these big banks. Did they deserve it? Yes, they did, but the people did not deserve it. There's gonna be so many people that are suffering, that are being affected by this. Even with the FTX collapse, everybody was like, oh yeah, he should have gone down. Yes, I agree 100%. Sam Bankman-Fried should have been in jail, and all this is true. But you know how many people lost their life savings, lost everything they had, and how many people lost faith in the markets in general because of these kind of things. So you know how it goes. Coin has two sides. One side wins, the other side loses. Unfortunately, regular normal people like you and me tend to lose more than these big guys. I mean, if you look at the Credit Suisse and if you look at the Silicon Valley Bank and all these big guys, what they were doing, what kind of scandals they had over the years, I mean, I wouldn't feel sorry for them for a second. But They don't care. They're just gonna get out of this as always, as they do. They got bought by some other company, CEOs got fired. Eventually, after a few years or even less, they're gonna get a new job in some other bank and they're gonna ruin it again, etc. So be safe, and as I've said, don't be too happy about failing of these big banks, because 2008, 2009 and big financial crisis, they're not fun at all. Now let's move on to another news. Warren Buffett in contact with Biden team on banking crisis. Berkshire Hathaway's Warren Buffett has been in touch with senior officials in President Joe Biden's administration in recent days as the regional banking crisis unfolds. Basically, what's happening is, as I've told you, it's a domino effect, right? You have one bank falling and then followed by another and another and another, and this contagion started spreading on regional banks, the small people and smaller banks, right, who don't have the credit limits and the support and the backings like the big banks have. Okay, so now the Warren Buffett, being of course one of the most prominent figures in this space, he was approached, or he approached them, I'm not sure how did it go, went and talked with the Biden officials, maybe proposing some solution and maybe getting a bailout for these banks, in a sense of he would invest and give them financial support, given that his firm is doing quite well and they have big amounts of cash on hand. So we'll see. It's a good thing, it's an amazing thing that he's doing, and I hope this resolves in a good manner. I mean, yes, if he gets to control most of these banks, it's going to be a kind of a monopoly, right? But what to do? It's better to be controlled by him, who actually knows what he is doing, than to be controlled by these gambling freaks who have obviously no idea what the hell they're doing. Okay, now the next news is that comes from crypto world, and the former Coinbase CTO makes $2 million bet on Bitcoin's performance. Balaji Srinivasan has predicted that Bitcoin will reach 1 million within 90 days due to hyperinflation in the United States. So Balaji, he's a prominent Twitter figure as well, right? And people from crypto world are following him, listening to him. He is a smart guy, right? Obviously. But he said that due to hyperinflation in the United States, Bitcoin could go up to $1 million. I mean, I'm chuckling and I'm laughing, but to be honest, nothing in this world anymore is impossible. However, this outcome is highly unlikely, right? So he says that hyperinflation will happen. So what is hyperinflation? It's actually a very rapid deceleration in buying power of the currency, dollar in this case. So he's projecting that the dollar basically will collapse, that it will have a hyperinflation, and that the buying power of the dollar will be terribly small, right? So this is his prediction, that by Fed and everybody printing more dollars and more money and helping the banks and pumping the injection of billions and trillions of dollars into the banking system, he says that we're gonna have a hyperinflation, dollar will be not valuable at all, and everybody will be running and pumping their money into Bitcoin, which will lead Bitcoin to reach 1 million within 90 days. I mean, okay, I get it. I would love to see it. I'm the first one who would love to see it, because I'm big on Bitcoin and big on crypto as well. But will it happen? I really doubt it. I really don't think, and I think that he will have to pay $2 million to whoever he bet on. I wanted to show you one graph for the end, which is this. So this is Federal Reserve balance sheet, okay? And the Fed balance sheet was growing all the way until April of 2022, and then they started decreasing their balance sheet, all right? So this is what we call the quantitative tightening, right? And they were reducing their balance sheet all the way until this point where the crisis happened with the banks. And boom, what did they do? They increased their balance sheet, or pumped the money into the markets by 300 billion within 1 week. So literally within 1 week, they pumped 3 months worth of quantitative tightening that they did, or the reduction of the balance sheet. Literally, they invalidated last 3 months of the balance sheet reduction within 1 week only. And everybody's now afraid that they're gonna continue pumping the money in, and they're just gonna put their balance sheets back above $9 trillion, etc. Is it going to be good? No, because in that case, Balaji would be maybe even right. We're gonna have a higher inflation. Inflation will not go down, and maybe even a hyperinflation, right? So it would just be a huge mess. So whatever they're doing now, they're literally destroying it by doing this. I'm not saying they should let the big banks collapse. No, I'm not saying that either. But I mean, I don't know what will be the smart outcome. I'm not smart, so I'm not going to comment too much on this. I don't know what will be the most rational decision. The only thing that I know that inflation now probably won't go down as fast as it should be, and probably it will remain high or elevated for a longer period of time. And I don't think that we're gonna see 2% anytime soon when it comes to inflation. So to wrap it all up, guys, pay attention to federal interest rate decision this week on Wednesday, 22nd of March. That's going to be the most important event so far, okay? Whatever they decide, 0 or the pause of the rate hikes or 25% increase with good guidance means that the market will explode. What is good guidance? Good guidance means that they're gonna say, listen, we understand that this is affecting banks and everybody, the whole world, in a very, very bad way, and we're just going to stop now interest rates or hike by 25 BPS and then keep it like that for the rest of the year and see where it takes us with inflation. That is a good guidance. And the bad guidance is to tell us, okay, we're gonna increase the 25 basis points, but we're gonna increase 50 basis points whenever all this shit show fixes itself, whatever, you know, whenever we get through this storm and the first opportunity we have, boom, we're gonna increase it by another 50 BPS. This is going to be a bad guidance. Or if they say we're just gonna continue hiking it until I don't know when. So pay close attention to what they're going to say. Guidance is very important. Not only the interest rate, but the guidance itself is going to be crucial as always. And as always, if you liked the video and if you enjoyed it, give me that thumbs up, like the video, subscribe to the channel, stay tuned for more news, and I'm gonna be keeping you updated. If any emergency updates, I always share them on my Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all other social media that is going to be in the links below, so make sure to follow them. And until the next video, have a good day.